What is going on, guys? It's me, and Resher. I'm back again with Clover. We're casting some more EGF Overwatch season for the 2023 fall semester. Today, we're going to be watching University of Hawaii take on the University, or actually, sorry, Montana State University over over in the game. Clover, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I know that the patch just came out a couple days ago, so I'm really excited. Looking forward to seeing, Sombra had the whole rework, so I want to see if anyone plays her, as well as some of the other heroes that had some changes. I know a new map was introduced. I'm not sure if they'll go there, and then some other maps had some changes as well. So I'm excited to see, what's going to happen, who's going to play what characters, and how it'll all play out today.
Personally, I'm pretty excited. Not for the Sombra changes because I'm a tank main, so please, God help me in my ranked game. Stop playing Sombra, please. But I, I, I'm personally really excited to see where we're going, and it looks like we have already begun on Busan as Akamai is taken out as Furry on the side of Montana State University, taking on another kill onto Sneaks in the corner right there. Little bit of a quick run into the game, but we can see some pretty similar comps that we saw last week, rocking it with a Junker Queen, a little bit of Junker Queen dive rush with the Junkrat in there, and we're gonna go ahead and see Montana State University make the swap over to a looks like a brawl comp with a Life Weaver. Not something you see every day. All right, we're gonna see Say doing a little bit of pelting onto the back line of Montana State, as I'm a Giraffe 1 is making his doing his best Metal Gear Solid impression to go ahead and try and sneak around, but you are a giant robot Ramattra there, so it's kind of hard to make that sneak around of the board right there. Akamai going to be applying as much pressure as he can onto the back line, but Math Dealer and Say are taking a bit of hit damage onto the front. Knife onto the Cassidy as Sneaks goes down, taking out a lot of pressure now being applied onto Giraffe. So Akamai goes to snipe him out of the room once more. Say running back as the wall is there to try and stop the Junker Queen, but you can't stop the knife going into the back right there. Lei pushing them up to the spawn room as UH takes up 52% and counting.
And it looks like Akamai's already got the ult, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with that one when it's going to go into use.
I know last week we saw Akamai nailing shot after shot after shot with that railgun charge. And considering of how, pretty dense of a comp that they're playing on the side of Montana, I do think that they're probably going to have a pretty easy time getting these snipes. Gonna see the Disruptor Shot being fired into the shield in the back over there. Commanding Shout needing to be used on the side of Math Dealer to keep the rest of the team up. But Akamai popping that railgun, taking out Sneaks, taking out the Mei, trying to take out the Kiriko, but the Kiriko's a little too slippery as the tree is not able to keep up the rest of Montana State. 91% ticking up as Say gets the double kill with the Riptire. Tsune Rush, pop for extra measure. UH, cap in point one. I'm interested to see where this is going to go. Busan is a little bit of an interesting map when it comes to, the different terrains. And we are going to be swapping over to Mecha Base, which has a lot of high sight lines. And we are seeing potentially something pretty interesting. We're seeing as Super Pie maybe potentially going to play the new rework Sombra.
Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Lots of characters changing around right now.
See that a Super Pie has that One Piece skin. I act like I know what the One Piece character is that they're using. I know it's somewhat funny because it's like got the bicycle emote, but there are no bikes to be seen as you're laying down some pressure onto the Junker Queen on the side of Montana State. Sneaks so low, taken off by Akamai, completely shutting down the Genji and destroying the first push. Commanding Shout being used on the side of Math Dealer, putting up so much pressure onto the DPS and onto all the other targets of Montana State University. Knife missed the Lucio, but Akamai does not miss those Helix rockets. The Axe Swing gonna miss onto I'm a Giraffe, but headshot to the head, not doing not enough to be able to be dodged there. As UH first capture. Right, ultimate's ticking up on the side of UH. Unfortunately, Montana does not have a whole lot to answer back. Zhengji is going to be deflecting all of Sei's projectiles there, but as we see the commanding shout being used to try and keep him up, there just isn't enough engage being applied on the side of Montana State University. Sei is just taking down Ewan again. River God with the very well-timed skill orb taking down Giraffe. And Sei just applying so much pressure onto the Soldier 76 in the background. Needed to dip back a little bit because Soldier is still a dangerous target, but he's got that backup with him right there as Akamai takes out his counterpart on the other side. Matt Dealer knifes the ninja. Sorry, my knife is a little bit bigger than your sword today, pal.
And it looks like Montana State's just trying to group up again and figure out what they're going to be doing next, the next game plan that they've got.
I know it's like the panic swaps that you see in ranked game when someone is just shouting like, please somebody do something in the game. Unfortunately, all these swaps are going to mean that UH is going to have a massive ult surplus, and we see right there that maybe it's not even needed, but hey, extra 2-piece on the Riptire off from Sei as Akamai takes out Sneaks in the background, 76% and ticking up. Looking like a pretty swift win for UH on Busan here, but it's not over till it's over. Bombs are going to be fired from potentially every single entrance. Where is Montana State going to end up going through? And unfortunately, that's not what you're looking for either, with a Rampage going through your backline, as Akamai is there to clean up from all the work, as Giraffe accepts the fate. UH taking Busan. That was a pretty dominant showing on the side of University of Hawaii. The Rainbow Warriors showing again why they are a pretty strong force to be reckoned with. But it's never over till it's over. Montana State, there were a couple good looks, and I think they probably would have preferred to have swapped onto that Zarya composition a little bit sooner than they did. But I'm interested to see what Montana is going to be cooking up. I'm not entirely sure the next map that we're going to just yet, but anything is always possible when the series is just starting.
Those were some really great plays that we saw going there. Like you said, UH was pretty dominant there in that first round, but Montana could definitely come around and do a complete, just swapping it over. They could completely switch it around. We'll just have to see where things go, what maps are going to be played, what characters, what lineups are going to be done for the rest of the games. And, they've gotten used to playing each other a little bit now that they've completed the first game. So how things are going to go from there.
It is going to be interesting to see as we're going into the next map here. I would love to see a potential swap onto something that could potentially, counteract a lot of the aggression and a lot of the force that the University of Hawaii is putting out there. Montana, it does look like they potentially are favoring a lot of the brawl comps, and for less experienced teams, of course, running into that brawl composition when the Junkrat is just, pop, pop, pop in your face with that little, that little gun that he's got there is pretty big ask for a lot of your supports to try and heal up. So it's going to be interesting to see where we go from here.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I'm interested to see, how some of the characters that were reworked are played. Like I think someone had been May for a couple minutes on one of the maps. I know May did get changed around a little bit with the patch that came out, but other characters as well.
Yeah, May originally had that mechanic where if she was able to freeze her targets and fire in one of her right clicks, it would do an increased amount of damage. But they ended up tuning that back to just doing consistent 100 damage with the full power of her little endothermic blaster there. And honestly, I think that's probably something that they might want to start taking advantage of on the side of Montana. Not just because it's cold over there in Montana compared to, the sunny weather here over on Oahu, but, when you have that May wall in order to potentially, cut off half the team, protect you from the Junkrat mines and the Junkrat grenades, I think it's something that could potentially play into their strengths. I did notice that potentially they were not fully cohesive on the side of the support line there. We were seeing a lot of Lifeweaver Kiriko, a lot of Lucio Lifeweaver, and Lifeweaver is a strong pick in his own, but it's gonna be interesting to see where we go from here. I'm getting word that we are switching over to Paraiso. So You know, Paraíso is a pretty interesting map. There's a lot of potential dive sightlines. But Ramatra is a pretty strong pick on this map too, as long as you're able to navigate those through those chokes. But another character that could be potentially strong on here is that Junkrat also.
Definitely Junkrat. I mean, we saw a great job from Junkrat like earlier, so we can definitely see how that progresses. Or if we go with other characters, I mean, you said Junkrat. My friends would definitely have to agree with you. And it looks like the game's already started and they're heading towards the points.
Alright, it is looking like we're still in a bit of the setup phase here. Montana State potentially looking to play the Junker Queen rush as opposed to swapping in that Ramatra pick. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. Even though Lucio Kiriko is not a very strong in terms of the support lines, I do think it does provide a lot good of an engagement to what you're seeing University of Hawaii rolling out with. We're still seeing Akamai on the Soldier, and Sei is still going to be throwing it down on the Junkrat, but we are going to be playing a bit of a better bunker composition right here. Rocking out with Banana on the Lifeweaver as River God is there in the Ana, but Sei is right there. Look at how much damage was just applied onto Montana. 43% of the ult bank and taking out Giraffe immediately. Mine's gonna be applied as Super is running back into the spawn room, and this is what I was talking about here. It's a good option to try and make that Junker Queen rush, but when you got Sei in your face, it's hard to break through that. We are going to be seeing a lot of pressure being applied onto Giraffe right over there as well. Needing to use the commanding shout, all cooldowns needing to be used to keep up the team. As Sei is just a one-man machine here, applying so much damage, taking out the teleport pad, preventing them from going forward even an inch. Sei sweeping Lei into the ground as the rest of Montana is forced back into the spawn room.
If you look at that, Sei's already got the ult, and this is still pretty early on in the game. If you look at the rest of the charges, a lot of other people are still around 50%.
It's barely 2.5 minutes into the game, and Sei has already gotten a kill with his Riptire. If there is a carry of this game, it definitely is that Junkrat character. Banana Lumpia, though, taking out Sneaks as a bit of a little, you know, goodbye present there. Montana making the swap over to the Ramatra and to the Pharah, but you're going to need to get out of the spawn room first. Remember, Akamai is still sitting there with that Sojourn on the balcony, and sure, they were able to force him out, but we're going to need to be seeing a lot more pressure being applied. Railgun has a charge, just sitting, waiting, misses onto Lei as the Pharah is trying to sweep behind to try and put some mud pressure onto Mathealer, but the Lucio is able to take it onto the point with the rest of the team. Kitsune rush applied, but somebody please heal Sneaks in the background. The Ramatra going to be applying as much pressure as he can, but there's not much pressure you're going to be doing against a Nano Sigma and another Sei in your face. Vidic Flux being applied, maybe just a bit of a disrespectful play as, oh, the sound barrier was popped on the side of Montana State. Maybe didn't want to use that ult right away, and there's just so many staggers being applied onto the support line. They're going to need to be getting out there as Sei is taking out Ewan.
I'm with you.
I mean, they had a really good push. They were very close to taking the first third of the point right there. They got stopped just before it, but that was a really good push by Montana State. They were very close right there.
And we're seeing again the panic swaps being made. Sneaks 75% to his ultimate, but has to give that up for the Reaper as we're seeing the Kiriko Ana play being made as well. Giraffe is the only one that has over 50% ult charge, and look at the side of University of Hawaii, 91% for Sei. Ultimate online, Banana Lumpia and Akamai. And they're going to need to have a miracle play being here, especially as we see Sei getting ready to make the play. But Akamai is saying, you're not even going to need to do that, as the overclock is popped, taking out Sneaks, putting so much damage onto Super, putting as much pressure as he can onto the Ana and the Kiriko, sniping them out of the way, and just clearing them back to the spawn room. The music is coming online now. Last 20 seconds left on the play. Sei with that Riptire, Banana with the Tree of Life. And what is there on the side of University of Montana? Reaper is going to try and teleport in, but he's slept right away. Needs to pop the Needs to pop the Wraith Form to try and stay alive, but Sneaks is there to take out Safe. But can anyone touch the point? Ivan Draft is there to take out Akamai as the Tree of Life is popped. Montana State trying to stay alive as best as they can, but Mass Dealer on their point with the Rabbinic Clutch, taking out Sneak, taking out Super, Nano Boost, taking out everyone on the point. Montana State not able to take the cap as Mass Dealer saving the point for the University of Hawaii. Only 38% ticked up on the point.
0-0. Switching sides.
That was a pretty close one at the end there, Clover, but
Definitely.
it was a pretty hard defense by the University of Hawaii. What does Montana need to do now to try and get back in this?
I mean, they made a really great push at the end right there, especially. So if they can just play, a really strong defense now, we can see how that goes. I mean, I think maybe on this map they might have an easier time with defense than with offense, although they did do well at the end. Um, but just seeing what characters they're gonna lock into.
It is looking like we're going to see a bit of a unique composition so far. The Diva on the side of Montana State, and the Bastion, potentially the Junkrat, but Sneaks is potentially going to swap that out for something else. Yep, seeing the Pharah play. And the Mercy Lifeweaver, from my time in Ranked, it's not an ideal composition, but if these are comfort picks, these are the picks you need to be making. Having a Pharah pocket in the sky, especially on Sei, to try and prevent him from being able to play the video game, is something you're going to want to be doing. Ewan over there on the Lifeweaver is going to be doing the best job that they possibly can to keep up the rest of the team. Railgun is going to be taking out with Math Dealer on the point. There's Banana Lumpia and River God are doing a very interesting poke composition with a Wrecking Ball. Not something we saw last week. This is going to be hard for them to break, especially with that Bastion on the point. But Math Dealer does swing onto the point, and that Bastion is not going to be an issue there, as River God carefully takes them out of the video game. So much pressure being applied onto the Pharah. The Diva trying their hardest to stay alive on the point, applying as much pressure as they can on the Sei, but Akamai is just there to apply too much damage onto the Mercy. Ewan, oh no, unfortunately giving up on the point. Sneaks just taking out Bastion, trying their hardest to get back online, but University of Hawaii captures that in very dominant fashion. 2-0 for the side of the Rainbow Warriors.
Play of the game.
This is the play that saved the game for the University of Hawaii. Math Dealer getting not one, not two, but 3, 4, and almost the ace if River God did not steal it from him at the end right there. That was a very dominant round again by the side of the University of Hawaii. And unfortunately, it looked like Montana, they had a game plan there with their Ramatra rush on the end of their attack, but it just came a little too late, I feel.
No, for sure, definitely a little bit too late, but if they'd gotten that just a little bit earlier, I think it could have gone a very different way with that game, especially the first round of it. They came very close there. Um, I saw there was the Farah Mercy on when they were on the defense as well, and I know that's a combo that I hate when I've got to go up against it myself. The Mercy was taken out at one point, and then I think that just really, Mercy is one of your strongest healers, so once she was gone, it's a bit harder for them to keep up there.
And there just wasn't enough engagement tools to try and shut down anyone on the side of UH there from Montana. Lifeweaver and Mercy, they're pretty good in their own right, but it's not a very good composition together. They're characters that usually need someone like an Ana, a Baptiste, a Kiriko, maybe, to try and help them, take out some of the other targets. Especially a character like Ana that pairs very well with Lifeweaver, can add a lot of extra utility with the sleep or with the anti-nade. But when you have two utility supports and not a primary engagement support, it makes it a lot harder for the team in order to do something. And that's something that UH capitalized on very well.
I agree with that. I mean, it's definitely better when you've got both types of support there, but I think maybe they were just going for, try to keep everyone alive. They were doing pretty good at the beginning of that second round of the game right there, but then once the Mercy got taken out, since they didn't have that extra help to attack the rest of the team from the other healer, it was just a bit more difficult.
And you can see the thought process to try and take out, say, that Junkrat carry that has been dominating these last two maps. I understand, far in the sky, Junkrat's not going to be able to hit you there. But at the same time, you have Akamai in the corner just continuously putting so much pressure. And especially Mercy in the air, if you're not careful with your movements, is a very, very static character. It's very difficult to try and make the swap to fly around, be that wasp or that moth in the air, and it just was taken out a little too easily. Montana, I'm really hoping that they stick to their comfort picks on the Ramatra. That seems to be their best play, but it is going to be hard to take out UH on when we go into this next map. All right, it is looking like we're getting word that we're going onto Flashpoint, onto New Junk City, and we see both tanks are looking to play that Junker Queen. Junker Queen is probably one of the better tanks to play on that mode, and especially if they want to run the rush composition, I feel like this is where Montana could start a potential reverse sweep.
No, they definitely have a chance there. Like you said, Junker Queen very strong on the map that we're going into. Also, I mean, they're gonna have lots of opportunities. I think we just got to see, the characters that they put together, the composition that they have for the coming game. And then from that, see how they're going to take it. Are they going to do the same thing that they just tried with having, two healers that are stronger at healing, or are they going to switch it around, go for different ones for that, or support, see how that goes?
I would love to see a potential Junker Queen like hybrid with the Brawl composition. Instead of having that Kiriko, maybe try a Baptiste out. I know Junker Queen doesn't synchronize that well with the Baptiste, especially if there's another enemy Junker Queen. Kiriko would probably be better, but I would love to see a potential Rush paired with with that Lucio backline. And if they want to run full Rush, try and see if you could potentially get that Genji out there. See if you can get a long range sniper to take out, say, in the backline. There's a lot of ways that I could see this potentially working, but again, comfort picks are comfort picks for a reason.
Like you said, though, that's a very good point. If they get like a sniper or something like that as well, it's a different strategy than what they've been going for so far, but it could be very beneficial for them. Again, like you said, Say's been very strong in these past two games. So if you do get a sniper and you're able to take Say out, that could be a game changer for them, especially if they do that, with the right timing.
And remember, even though Sigma is a pretty strong character right now, Sigma is not the greatest choice when it comes to Flashpoint, unless they're running an Orisa. And if UH does not want to play the Lucio and they're running the Sigma, that could be an advantage that Montana could potentially look for as well. You know, if you get enough characters to just potentially run over these super, bunkery characters, that could be another solution. But it is looking like we're seeing the Junker Queen rolling out from the side of University of Hawaii, and we're seeing potentially the Ramatra play on the side of Montana. But again, I'm looking at these two support picks. Moira, Lifeweaver. Not the greatest composition lineup when you're running with a Ramatra. Ramatra is a character that, even though he's pretty fast in his Nemesis form, very slow otherwise. And UH running Banana Lumpia on Lucio, which means they're going to be able to run circles around Montana State. But it all comes down to this. Sneaks play in the Sojourn, applying as much pressure as they can, and Say and Akamai are there to take out the Moira and take out the opposing Sojourn, and just applying so much damage onto the side of Montana University as they're forced out the first flashpoint. Alright, Hanzo and Sojourn trying to run with a pseudo double sniper, but again, where is the support backup for this? Math Dealer's able to just knife Sneaks out of the video game there, as so much pressure is being applied onto Montana, and there's just not enough follow-up to try and protect against this. Akamai's disruptive shot is just going to take out Super, knife onto the Ramatra to pull them back just a little bit closer into the Junker Queen shots, as a shield is going to need to be popped to keep them alive, but Akamai gets a very, very late kill to stagger Lei out, as the point just ticks up super, super quick on the side of first flashpoint.
You see one of the ults is one of the ults is there on Montana State U, and Akamai pretty close to the ult for UH as well. So if those are able to build up, we'll see if they get put into play.
And again, this is another issue that is being taken on the side of Montana. Look at those swaps. Think of all the ult charge that was lost from the Ramatra, from the Soldier, from the Hanzo, and look at the gaps that exist on the side of UH. 99% for 100% for Akamai, 85% for Sei, Mathular 74% compared to the Zarya's 33. A very good swap, but it's a very potentially late swap as we're running into the second flashpoint as the tire takes out Super as Mathular snipes Lei out of the game. Grenades are being fired and once again onto Giraffe, and so much pressure is being applied. Giraffe putting the first kill onto the side of UH as he takes out potentially overextending Mathular. Here we go. This is a swap that I like to see. I would prefer to see a Lucio instead of a Life Weaver, but when you have that Tree of Life online, you want to essentially use it sooner rather than never. 24% and ticking up as I'm a Giraffe is trying to get as much ult charge onto the point, but 3 ultimates, potentially 4 ultimates are online on the side of UH. We're seeing the overclock being plopped as the immortality field is popped. Tree of Life trying to keep them all alive on Montana. The Genji diving in, but he has no healing. Taken out by the railgun charge. Knife, axe swing onto Giraffe. So much pressure being applied left, right, and center. The Life Weaver unfortunately is not able to clutch this out. 75% and ticking up as more swaps come in on the side of Montana. There it is again, Clover. More and more swaps being taken on the side of Montana. A lot of pressure is going to be put onto the spawn room to try and stall them out before reaching that next flashpoint. But this is a potentially good swap to make. The Soldier and the Bastion do so much damage if you're not careful. But they also do have the Lucio on the side of UH, which means that they can just quickly get themselves out of that position. Giraffe, 95% online for that for that Graviton Surge. 75% for the window on the side of Lei, and this is what's going to be their win condition. Get that Bastion in front of that window and get that get that Graviton Surge online to try and take out as many people as you can on the side of UH. A little bit of an echo. Alright, a lot of damage just being applied again and again from UH as they gain the capture of the last flashpoint first, and the stagger onto Lei. Oh no! Somebody please save the Baptiste. UH, firm control of this point. Montana, they have the win conditions on their plate right there. The Graviton Surge, the window, and the swap onto the Cassidy. If there was a play to be made, now's the time. The rest of UH is completely bulked up in the corner right here. Now is the time to fire the Graviton Surge and try to get enough kills. But the rotations are being made as the Lucio just speeding them in and out of the choke point. Lamp needed to be thrown first, and a 4K on the side of Sei as all the ults are popped on the side of Montana. 95% and continuing to tick up, and unfortunately, it isn't looking like Montana's able to take that round. University of Hawaii, dominant win over the Montana State University today. And here is that play made by Sei at the end of the game here. Very, very well placed tire. All the ults are used on the side of Montana, and just a 4K tire to take them out of the game, getting the ace in the hole. An amazing Junkrat ult at the end there for UH, but it just wasn't enough for the side of Montana University. I liked what they were going for. I liked a lot of the compositions that they had, but it just came a little too late. It felt like a lot of panic swaps were being made, like a ranked game when, one person on the enemy team just keeps popping off and everyone is just screaming, "Someone counter this person, please!" And it felt like that's what was constantly going on the side of Montana. There was so many good looks that they had, but again, it was just not enough.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. I mean, they had quite a few really good chances and they had some good compositions, some good things that they were trying there. But, they did just have a little bit of a struggle as well with the changing characters. I mean, the ult charge, ults can make or break a game depending on, when it's played, how well it does. I mean, we saw at the end right there, that was an amazing play by Say, took out four of them with a single ult. Ults can really be a game changer. And since they were changing a lot, they were losing those ult charges and it just put them back a bit more.
And Flashpoint is a game mode where the clock just ticks up super, super fast. And when, the clock is ticking up that fast and you're not able to recontest the point, the swaps need to come very quickly and very sparingly. Because, like you said, if had they made the swaps earlier, they would have had way more ult charge to try and contest against them. And maybe they could have potentially had a Graviton Surge earlier, maybe on the second Flashpoint instead of on the third Flashpoint. But in the end, a win is a win. University of Hawaii putting themselves up 2-0 so far for this EGF season. I gotta say, there's a lot to look forward to in the side of UH. I know next week is potentially a pretty hard opponent for them, but hey, these first two games, you can eat well, go get yourself some canes, like apparently is the ritual these days for all the professional teams, and just enjoy the win. I personally very excited to see potentially more Junkrat compositions next week. But how about you, Clover?
No, I agree. I think Junkrat, that was really fun, really enjoyable to watch today. I mean, great gameplay. I also really liked watching just, all of it. I mean, all of the different compositions that they did were very, very strong. And I think that they played, very well as a unit, very well together. That teamwork, the chemistry that they have, they just did a really good job. And I'm looking forward to seeing, are we gonna get Junkrat again next game, or are we gonna get, someone else?
That Sombra rework did just come in, and I could see that some teams maybe would potentially like another week or two of scrimmage before they can, start incorporating that. And Samoa did also just come out, so there's a potential that we could see Samoa in the next week's game. But for now, we're gonna have to close out this chapter this particular week of the EGF series. I have been Enan Reshram, joined once again by Clover. Very glad to be with you once again, and we'll see you folks next week.